to go out there and play.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I'm still doing a lot of moving around, but it's dope though. Having a good time during these crazy moments in life
Yeah. All right,
with the
brother.
pandemic going on.
I got Facebook hooked up. I got YouTube hooked up. I'm gonna just double check YouTube one more time. Uh, yeah, YouTube's just being slow there. Okay, yeah, we got YouTube hooked up. All right, brother. All right, awesome, man. All right, everybody. I'm here with Brandan from the
What's going on,
documentary.
everybody?
And we wanted to do a dual interview. I was going to ask him some questions, and he was going to ask me some questions. First of all, Brandon, did you want to introduce yourself, or did you want me to?
Yes, I could just introduce myself. Excuse me. How
Okay,
you doing,
awesome.
everybody? My name is Blake. I am 26 years old. I currently live in the United States, New York City at that, Queens, New York at that, and I am a basketball coach for my AAU basketball program called Queens Offenders, which is a bunch of the youth, and it's very exciting. It's inspiring, and I also have a uh, lifestyle brand called Rise Above that I'm currently wearing right now to promote a lot more positivity and really bring out the leadership inside of you and understand that every dream we all have is possible, and we want to make that come true as much as possible.
Awesome. Yeah, and I'm just double checking the Facebook live stream real quick, man. Just making sure the audio and everything's going to be working.
No
Uh,
worries, no worries.
okay, here we go. Yeah, and I'm just double checking the Facebook live stream. All right, awesome. I can hear us. All right,
Let's get
awesome.
it.
Yeah, so you do. Did you want to ask? Did you want to start off with your questions, or did you want me to do mine first, Brandon? I honestly don't care, man.
Yeah, I definitely want to start off first, and
Okay.
because I have a lot of phenomenal questions to ask you, because I feel like the way we met was just like a very alignment situation, and I do want to ask, where's my like, what is your initial dream? Because I know reading your book, the Book of Life, it was very interesting because during those times I had like troublesome moments in my life, and I feel like that book alone just got me to open and expand my mind to not only just the world but the universe as well too, and got me to really realize that a lot of power comes from self.
Yeah.
And I want to know, like, where did that dream, or what is your dream as far as being able to touch so many souls with the messages that you have?
Yeah. I would say honestly, when someone asked me the same question, what got me into starting the personal brand and writing the book, and honestly, it was at I would say a point after I had restarted my own life after my lowest rock bottom I was going through at the time, where I was literally coming out of I don't want to say ghettos, but the one of the worst parts of Rocky Point, or a city in Mexico, literally where they actually release a lot of the inmates from the U.S. prisons to restart their lives or give them a second chance. And
Mm.
I was literally had $0 in my pocket, and I went back to the U.S. and I got a job obviously, and was pushing through, and I was meditating a lot, afterwards, after I was back up on my feet, and really, thinking about what I wanted to do with my life, going forward, because I had already ran a business, I had already, worked a lot of jobs, gone through sales, all of that good stuff, and it was just one rock bottom, or it was never fulfilling. Like a lot of people, I was depressed, I was wanting to kill myself, or I tried to kill myself at that time, and it was, yeah, it was never enough. I was making six figures, had all the cars in the world, businesses at the time, and it was never fulfilling. And after I had, like I said, hit my rock bottom and was restarting my life, I guess you could say that was when I turned back, and after I felt like I had finally achieved, joy from within, or had finally started to find that peace or that happiness. And at first, like a lot of other people say, I was kind of not really sure what it was, what happened. And then, I did a lot of meditating, and I started to realize a lot of the things I wrote about in the book and a lot of the things I teach about now on YouTube were not really being shared by a lot of the mainstream gurus or a lot of other people. So I felt, since it was what had really helped me because I had been in the industry for about 5 years, 6 years, listening to all these self-help gurus, and then I mean, like I said, look where it got that boy at the time. It got him nowhere. And after meditating and looking back, I started to realize how much I could really help people, and help people that were depressed, or help people that were going through the same thing that boy had gone through. So that was my main inspiration. And like I said, it was right after I had discovered myself, and right after I had really started to put myself together. And at the same time, after living in Mexico for about a year, which is where I'm at now, I had gone back to the U.S. after I restarted my life, got back on my feet a little bit and whatnot, and I got to hear a lot of what the mainstream media or news was saying about Mexico, and even the president at the time, what they were saying, and it was the complete opposite of what I had experienced. So that was the other half of my dream, and that was my inspiration. Honestly, was just helping life and giving back to people, because I had so much empathy, so much empathy for what people were going through, since I had actually gone through it myself. And it was not just starting from rags to riches. It was a lot more than that. And I had that empathy, like I said at the time, so much empathy for what all the other people were going through. A lot of my old friends that were still going through the same thing, and that was my inspiration. Yeah.
Yeah, that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
And what made you or inspired you to really do the documentary? Because like this is like a game changer in my opinion, and being able to experience the trip alone, it got me to also change my perspective as well too. Because when I first heard of Mexico, I'm hearing a lot of things from like TV shows and movies and the mainstream media, and I'm like, man, this place is not so pleasant, if you're not going to a resort. But however, experiencing it, I got to meet tremendous people, phenomenal faces. I got to experience like what actual beauty looks like, and to be able to bring this into life, and to get people to, not even get people, to encourage people to step out of their boundaries is like, one of the biggest moves ever. So what made you want to like bridge the gap between cultures, because you're connecting worlds together actually?
Yeah. I would say honestly, like I said, besides the empathy I had for starting that side of the personal brand, like we just were talking about. I mean, the biggest thing I'm most passionate about, I guess you would say, would be just the truth, man. And I went to a discussion one time, and I know, I don't believe in halfway or halfway truths, or only giving people or the public 80% of the truth, especially where I'm at now, being in a international business standpoint, and stepping into the international business field, and just working with international leaders around the world. It really changes your perspective on what a lot of other corporations or families are doing. They're not giving the public or people 100% of the truth. And that like I said, that really made me mad, and it really upset me, because I had actually lived in Mexico, and became brothers and sisters with a lot of my neighbors, just random people. And when I went back to the U.S., like I said, that really upset me, and that was really during my meditations, on deciding what I wanted my life purpose to be, or what I was going to live and die for. It was not just, I didn't want to just teach people how to be happy, how to be more positive, how to apply the law of attraction and all of that, good stuff. I wanted to actually be out there making a difference, actually taking action. I didn't want to just be, selling another seminar, or preaching what I wanted to preach. I wanted to actually, lead by example and wanted to actually get out there and do something. And I would say, yeah, those two things are the main motivations. And even now to this day, I'm still very passionate about connecting cultures, and I'm still very passionate about, like you were mentioning, the role that it's turned into. I mean, it happened very quick. I don't think most people realize we didn't start actively, pushing the whole personal brand until about 7, 8 months ago. And
Wow.
yeah, now we've already cured over $1 million for free with our subliminal messages and health problems, diseases and medical issues. We just released our documentary, and we're getting ready to go to the Middle East next, which is going to be huge.
That's very, very powerful.
Yeah.
It kind of takes a while for people to understand that we're more than just life here. We're life everywhere, meaning that we're like really connected with each other. And I feel like, during that trip, I had a great time spending with you and a lot of other people that, are wonderful souls. And it really got me to, want to go out there and even do more greater things to the world and then introduce more, positivity to the world. Because with this world being so negative and, with the mindset being so fragile nowadays, I want to be able to possibly help and inspire other people to go out there and help other people actually, because I feel like that's, the way of life. And these are things that I'm just learning as well too as I go throughout life and really do my best to understand it. So that was very powerful, starting a brand and really pushing that brand to go out there to impact these people in so many different directions. Like I truly envy that.
Yeah, no. Yeah, and I mean, I truly believe that's when I started to obtain the most joy, and I talk about it in
Mm,
some of my videos that I make on YouTube. That have been helping people from around the world. Not just the U.S., but people around the world has really been when you truly discover yourself. Your true self, and that's another thing that I really want people to understand. And is that how much money these same people that are um, funding the news or publishing their news articles, how they spend billions on billions of dollars every year just to promote these labels or these dogma masks that so many people that have not, especially young people, mostly who haven't really discovered themselves, buy into these labels, and it leads. It's what I truly believe is the main cause of depression. But when you truly discover yourself on the inside, it's when you're able to, like you were just saying, start giving back to life. And that selfless giving, is what really starts to bring joy and happiness into your life, where you don't need gold watches or you don't need to be drinking every day. It really starts to fill you up. I mean, what do you? Can I ask one of the questions while we're here?
absolutely. We talking.
Okay. So, when did your awakening start? Now that I kind of was talking about mine a little bit, and how did that help you rise above?
So, this all started like I'll say 3, 4 years ago. And this is when I came back home from college as an athlete, going through my athletic career, but also going through college as well too. I had a misguided college career where I really didn't know who I was, and I was going out there not really putting my all into things that I truly love, and I got distracted with other things that wasn't leading me to my direction. And when I came back home, I felt like I was just completely lost because at that time I kind of lost everything. Basketball was going for me where I couldn't play collegiate. And,
Yeah.
I really wanted my parents to come see me play, which was the reason why I also came back home to New York City to go to college because
Yeah.
my parents never got to really actually me fully perform at my greatest potential that I believe. In addition, like I also didn't have no job. I didn't really have no direction on what I wanted to do because, at the time I'm always very curious to the world around me. And I felt like school wasn't leading me in the direction that I wanted to go to as far as making a dream accomplished for myself. And, my personal dream was to go play overseas basketball somewhere. And, knowing that that direction didn't go anywhere, I was thinking about plan B and I went to business. So it didn't literally like fulfill me. I wasn't really excited to go do business, so I wasn't really interested in learning these things when I was in school. So when I came back home, as I said, I was just like empty. But then,
Mm-hmm.
like, some signs told me, to start reading. And, it was one summer when I was working for the New York City Parks and Recreation as like a summer skills associate, where we like have to go out there and exploit our skills to the talents, I mean, to the kids that's in the park. you know, I ended up meeting like one of the most life changing boys in my life, and his name is Muhammad Raheem. At the time he was 9, turning 10 years old, and just seeing a kid with so much joy and so much like light, it really got to inspire me to go out there and like want to train. And from training, I ended up like I told myself if I really want to be a mentor to this kid, I got to be more than just who I am right now. Like something literally popped in my mind and just gave me that type of incitement and allowed me to like going out there and doing more inner like work for myself. So I read a book called The Power of Perseverance. I think the author name is Greg X. Reed. I have to like do more research upon it because that was like my first book ever that I finished from front to back. Now mind you, like in you book nowadays, most people read like 2 pages, they read the back of the book, or they don't even
Yeah.
they look at the book and then they put it down. So just reading through like a whole book, I felt so accomplished. And with that being said, that's why I also saw the phrase "rise above." And in the chapter, it talked about like becoming your best self and really growing to the person that you want to become. So I ended up thinking about like using that phrase to make me build more of my inner self from the inside and to continue to rise above whatever altercations that I go to, whether it's positive or negative. And from there,
Absolutely.
I just like kept pushing because that one kid got to inspire me, and then it helped also that same year. I also like reconnected with like a childhood friend that I literally grew up with. Like me and him was so close, and his family was so close when we was like kids. But then like we kind of separated ourselves, never like in no hatred way, but we took a
Yeah.
different path because we went both. We both played basketball. We both went different directions. But the
Absolutely.
way the universe brought us back together and really got us to connect as well too. Through a lot. He came back home from college and he was gonna try out for the G League. And I was like, yo, bro, just come to the park that I work at and let me just train you and do my best to get you ready as much as possible. So he believed in me. So those two people were the first two kids. Well, the kid and my basically like my brother of mine, like literally believed in me. His name is Uzona Kaji, and I call him Big O because my man is like 6'8", and he moves like water, and that's his brand as well too. So like from there, like I started seeing a whole lot of light come out of me, and it was a big joy because in that park, the demographic is mainly Spanish people, and majority of them at the time in New York City, they play a lot of soccer. So in order for me to bring that culture of basketball into their world and got them to experience that was like a game changer, and everybody was like happy coming to the park and working out, and like I brought a whole light to this area of mine, and I'm like, man, I'm impacting a community and a group of people that like is supporting me with me working with young kids and me working with older guys, and it became more like a big family base. Like even guys, and excuse me, young kids that was like out there doing bad, they stopped doing bad once they saw me, really helping the kids, and they would love to come around just to hang out, talk to me, chill with me, and I'm like, man, like this is such a phenomenal feeling, and I'm like, yo, I'm not even worried about getting no type of money from this. So I started really just continue to grow myself, and that started raising my level of consciousness. I started meeting a lot of great people, especially a family. The guy name was Patrick. He have two wonderful sons whose name is Max and Oliver. They like, and they got a wonderful wife as well too that got me to like push myself to even greater heights. And from there, it was a lot more positivity that's kept going on to my life. And I was like, yo, I read one book. Let me just continue to apply more of my knowledge and continue to build my mentorship and my inner peace within inside of me, so I can be able to be the example that I once wanted when I was younger. Not to say that there wasn't people around to help me grow, but I feel like in a pinnacle moment at my time when I was like maybe 12 or 13, I had somebody like me, honestly, in my favor, but he passed away a year before he was going to graduate college, which was like really tough for me to like deal with.
Mhm.
And just remembering him, who he was, his name is Anthony Washington.
just to remember him, he was like so positive, so like bright, uplifting, very happy, never mad, no negativity around him, and always his best to inspire me to go higher and better with my goals as a basketball player when I was young, chasing my dreams. So the fact that I could like, rekindle that fire that he once gave me when I was a kid to do that now to other kids is like, it's a truly a humbling and grateful experience, man. It really touches my heart, like big time.
Yeah.
Even talking about this.
How many books do you think you've read since then? Because
Whew.
yeah, I remember we
Yo,
were.
I became like
Yeah.
a book fiend, man. I probably read over about like in the past 3 years. I would say maybe like 150 to close to 300 books.
Ooh, man. It's a lot of books. Ooh. How
And
do you
I started like enjoying knowledge, man. I feel like
yeah.
knowledge is like
How do you take
very
that
important
though and
sometimes to understand.
yeah, how do you take that though and actually help that be, practical for children? How do you help children apply all of that knowledge that you've gained, from those, 200-300 books that you've read? Because, from a psychological standpoint, I mean, a lot of people don't understand that, a child's mind is exactly the same as an adult's mind. We have, 4 or 5 year olds that can speak 3 or 4 languages, already, if you actually teach them how. So, how do you approach teaching a child, with all of that knowledge you have?
So the greatest thing that I've been learning now is I've been like really diving deep into the brain, which is something that nobody and not many schools like honestly talk about. And
Yeah.
from there, I learned that at the adolescence age, when kids are that young, they're more easily to grasp knowledge because they're so curious to the world around
Yeah.
them.
Yeah.
And with that being said, like with Rise Above, I was like, let me do something different. Instead of me just training the kid, training the athlete part of the kid, let me train the kid itself. So, like, I came up with this idea like, listen, if I can already have you enjoy basketball, that's great. But now, if I can have you enjoy basketball, but also install confidence with inside you by talking to you, because now you're going to be easily able to retain the information that I'm
Yeah.
giving you, then I feel like that right there would be able to, bring more imagination to the kid's mind and also make them see themselves into more than what they want to become. So I started doing that. Like when I first started training at first, I would like, push kids when it comes to basketball with like intense training, but then I'll also tell them like this is the person that you're gonna become if you're gonna continue to push yourself. Like, yo, you're making your dreams come true each and every day. You go out here and you make, doing these crosswords or doing a certain basketball move. I'm like, bringing a sense of imagination because I feel like that's one of the most powerful tools that we have as a human being. And to get kids to have a sense of, envisionment and dreams can bring them more, better opportunities into their world. So like I just kept, applying those knowledges and all the knowledge that I got from a lot of these books to a lot of my mentor sessions when it comes to basketball training.
Okay.
Because envisionment is one of the greatest things that you can do and give to somebody.
Exactly. Yeah. Right now,
One
what
of
is
my
your
main
main
goals
goal?
right now,
Yeah.
honestly, my ultimate goal is to continue to expand my Rise Above Academy,
Okay.
because I feel like, as I said, personal development and athletes should meet where, and if you're not an athlete, whether you do some type of skill work, like, do music, you draw, you write, you sing, you dance, wherever it is that half of the person love to do, I
Mm.
want to, increase that, but also increase the development side because you think about it, sometimes, me being a basketball player, as an athlete, my athlete ability was very high, but my personal development was low, meaning like my self
Yeah.
esteem, my confidence, my ability to speak properly. I actually speak so fast and try to get my words out very quickly. And I started realizing, like, yo, instead of worrying about half of the person, which the majority of the world does, let me start caring about the whole person. So this is
Yeah.
where the Rise Above Academy comes to play, to where I want to be able to help the personal development side of people, but also push the skills of other people. Whether, like I said, you do basketball, or whether you do any sport out there, and you do any type of musical craft or drawing or writing, and I feel like, to be able to make those possibilities that you have for yourself too, because if you can see what's possible, then I know I did a great job, presenting myself to you.
Yeah. Yeah, no, also Shenko was saying hi from the documentary on the Facebook
Hey,
page.
Shashenka, what's up?
So I mean, I mean, what was the biggest, I mean, surprise for you actually being out here in Mexico during the documentary? I mean, from after, like you were saying earlier, everything you heard on the news, and what was the biggest, you know, cultural shock, and just, I mean, all of that good stuff, you know, after coming out here and actually being in Mexico after, you know, living in the U.S. your whole life.
The biggest cultural shock. See, I would want to say the scenery, but it was nowhere near the scenery. It was really the people. You know,
Yeah,
I felt so much love being over there, and hearing Shashenka saying hi over the live, that's the prime example right there. Like the
yeah,
bond that I got to share with the people that I met, change and experience, because these people are in their own world and I'm in my own world, and to come to their side of the world and see how they live and how they operate and how they care for one another is like, it was probably the most beautiful thing I got to even imagine and really experience. Like I felt like personally I didn't even want to go back home at first. I was like, listen, I feel so
remember that.
heartwarming, and
Yeah,
these people enjoyed my company, and so have I. I enjoyed their company, from them being able to like share all the memories that they had with themselves, and the life experiences that they went through, and as well as the food that they introduced to at different places in Mexico that they got to have me visit. I was like, man, this is like, one of the greatest things I could ask for, because living in the U.S., not everybody, well, even personally sometimes in New York, not everybody's the nicest guy or the nicest girl, and they wouldn't go
yeah,
out their way to make sure you have a wonderful experience. So there, I got to really live that true cultural experience where I was like, living it, spending time with Oscar those days. He was driving me around, showing me about different places, getting bread, getting food. I was like, man, this is a wonderful guy that I just met. And then Shashenko, with her amazing abilities and talents, and even to cater to her three boys, who I call the three ninjas. If anybody ever seen that type of movie,
yeah,
I was like, no, this is even amazing. And I call them the fiesta everywhere. Like they party all over to give people a great time. And I'm like, yo, man, everybody have these special attributes inside of them that they love to, just show.
yeah,
And I feel like nowadays, being over here in the U.S., people are afraid to show who they truly are. And I want to give that possibility and that outcome to be like, yo, listen, whatever thing that you got going on in your life, don't be afraid to show that, because that can
yeah.
help somebody else blossom and bloom with anything that they need to in life.
Absolutely. I mean, what was probably the most moving moment then out of the entire documentary, or most memorable?
Say, most memorable. Ah, that most memorable. You know, just living there. Like I feel like I lived there. Us being there for 2 weeks, touching that dolphin and really getting to connect to like real life nature.
Yeah,
Because being out there, it's not like how it is out here, where it's like the city world where it's you know, I, out there it's more like industrial, third world countries.
yeah,
So living that, it got me to live truly whole. Like as like I've been out there, as far as traveling through the city and going out to the beaches and like touching the dolphins and experiencing nature. I was just at home throughout the whole experience. I
yeah,
definitely cried, like going to meet those Native Americans, just driving through, certain parts of Mexico, like, and seeing the scenery. It got me like it got me to tear up. Those times I was crying because I'm looking at it like, man, this whole experience that I'm living in is like an actual like movie. Like I feel like I was literally in a movie. I was started in the movie being out there, and
yeah.
you'll see it more on the big screen TV. But actually living there is like, yo, this is like so crazy. So I gotta say, like the whole experience like really touched me.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, we had amazing feedback. I think we had over 90,000 views from around the world and 100 and something shares, and a lot of really good feedback, man. It was amazing. or it is amazing, and it's still pinned to the top of the Facebook page, so it's still getting views every day, and YouTube too. People are still watching it on YouTube, and yeah, that's the main goal, man. Like I said, we want to go to the Middle East next, and really break down a lot of that propaganda, that the news, portrays the Middle East as, and also India too. That's next.
Oh
on
yeah,
our
that's
list.
gonna be dope.
So
It's a big in a society where they want to manipulate each and every person to think bad about another person. And
exactly.
if we take all those stigmas away from each other and we come to realize that we're only just human beings and we're only our thoughts, actions, and energy, then we'll understand that this world we can make endless possibilities out of it and enjoy each other's company. I feel like the dollar don't mean anything to anybody. It's just a way to corrupt us and really have us fight against each other. And we all, as human beings, offer so much like gifts and talents. To where
Yeah.
our creativity created the society we live in today.
Yeah.
You know,
Sorry, I
so
didn't
I
mean to
feel
interrupt,
like,
Brandon. Yeah.
you're doing a great.
Yeah, no, I was just Eddie, one of the Native Americans we worked with, actually, who actually lives in Tucson on the Mexico-U.S. border. He was just saying in a comment that they're still building the wall, and you hardly never hear about it on the news. So,
Wow.
yeah. So I was
That's
just
insane.
throwing that in. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you though. I was just.
No, no worries, no worries. I'm loving the engagement. I want to also ask, for your search of knowledge, like, how did it get you to really like become the person that you are today? Because all the information that you exploit out there, it elevates the mind and elevates the soul and the spirit.
Yeah.
And as you continue to move forward, how did you like out there to search for these type of things, like the frequencies? You think about it, frequencies is going to be to me a game changer because it actually heals the inside of your body and it also brings a lot of mindfulness to yourself.
Yeah.
So like, where did you go about searching for these type of knowledges that can heal people and get people to feel great?
Yeah, I would say, oh man, I would say when I first started my self studies, like I said, about 8 years ago, and I say 8 years, but in those 8 years, a lot happened for those know my personal story. But at the time, there was only four self help gurus, and I don't want to mention their names because I don't want to throw them under the bus. But like I said earlier, that only took that boy so far, and then I would say afterwards, it was a lot of really deep research and a lot of those really strange parts of YouTube, and just really some deeper self-connecting and some deeper meditating. And I wouldn't say frequencies are my strong point. I don't think it's, scientifically speaking, anyone's strong point right now. I mean, there's a lot of scientific research with what we like to refer to as the miracle frequencies or the love frequencies, which 1 billion people have meditated to over the last 4 years, and there's just hundreds of thousands of comments of people's lives being changed. And there was another scientific study I really talk about how they use 528 hertz, which is one of the love frequencies, and they put it underneath water that had oil in it. It was oil spilled water, and they literally the next day they had the miracle frequency had cured the water enough to where sea life had actually returned. Life had restored in just one day, and that was completely oil spilled water. And when the skeptics showed up, they tested the parts per million, and it was exactly what they thought. It was cured. And when I started to just all of these facts, and all of this scientific research that we have in the field now, it was what really inspired me, honestly, and it was what really started to push me. And as I said earlier, the more I grew as a person, and the more I connected deeper within, and the more I started to learn about life and just how amazing life really is. All of these amazing facts about the love frequencies that actually the plants, and I have a plant right here, where people know I'm not just talking out of my
that's
butt.
dope.
I got a lot of plants in here, but but all of these plants, though, and just all of life, you know, scientifically vibrates on this love frequency or this miracle frequency. And just the deeper, the more I dug into what one of my old mentors referred to as the science of life, because there really is a science behind life that, you know, Albert Einstein, Nikola Tesla, Aristotle, all of them, you know, studied the science of life. You know, that's what I like to refer to it as, is the science of life. And the more I studied that, I would say it just inspired me more and more. You know, I got more and more passionate the deeper I dug. And then I think it was my first subliminal affirmation, which is reprogramming people's subconscious minds with affirmations, was to be more confident or something, and something really basic. And that was when I really started to dive into the subconscious mind. And, you know, I think I 327 subliminal affirmations now. Like I said earlier, we've been curing diseases all around the world for free. We're the first, you know, cure for lipedema, which is when mostly females have too much fat in their legs, or fat buildup.
Wow.
Yeah, I guess that's the simple way to describe it. And we were, you know, there's no actual medical cure for it, and just all of these health issues and problems. And when I would say I was about 150 in, and that's when someone asked me to make a subliminal to cure an actual physical problem, or actually change the physical body, which is really just a molecular structure, or just cells that are vibrating to our subconscious mind or our subconscious thoughts. And like I said, just the deeper I dug, the deeper I went, and the further I went, you know, now we're doing things that, you know, no other subliminal creator or subliminal person's done. And just the further we dive and the further I go, you know, it's just more and more inspiring for me. It just draws me closer to life. You know, I would say it's just
dope.
just life that really inspires me. And one philosophy I learned, or I really believe in, is, I call it a ripple effect. I think I talked about it in the book, where if you help just one person, you know, you're not just helping them. That's going to go on to help their family, their family's families, their family's friends. It's why I will never, you know, would ever destroy life to where I would be untruthful. Because if you lie to just one person, you're not just lying to that person. They're going to go on and start telling their friends. Their friends are going to tell all of their friends. And you've now lied to all of life. You've now destroyed all of life. And it works both ways, good, you know, bad and positive. So that's one thing that really inspires me. I know I'm not just changing one person. You know, I had a guy in, I think, Germany, or somewhere in Europe. I believe it was Germany. And his brother is actually a doctor. He's got his, he told his brother about what I was doing. And his brother actually listens to our subliminals. So, I mean, it's not just one person that, you know, that I know I'm helping. I know it's rippling out to all of life. And the more I can help life, and the more I can change life, you know, that's my main passion. And I was laughing because I'm starting to ramble. Like I said, I'm passionate about it, but
yeah, that's what's up, man. You know, understanding passions either.
yeah.
And that comes from like deep inner peace. That comes from like looking inside. You know, we tend to look outward for a lot of questions and a lot of answers, when we gotta sometimes self-realize that a lot of those things are deeply inside of ourselves. And we sit down and sit in silence or sit alone. And not many people are willing to take that time out to be alone, you know, because they're afraid of missing out. They want to be around everybody. They want to enjoy or other people's companies and fit in with the crowd, when, you know, we got to first understand that, you know, the more we take time to ourselves and real personal selves, because people say that when you talk to yourself, you're crazy. But I believe that's the best thing that you can do for yourself, is talk to yourself, because then start to give yourself more answers, and more opportunities, and more ideas, and more creations, when we just sit there and really self-assess ourselves. And, you know, these are powerful things that I want to start teaching children. And, you know, I started doing that now with young females. I train young females every Wednesday. Unfortunately, we couldn't do it today due to the weather.
Yeah.
After a hard, intense training session, I ended up meeting a phenomenal yoga teacher. Her name is Chanel. She got to literally teach these girls how to practice yoga. And I like after the session, I started asking the girls, what did they like about the yoga session? A lot of them saying like, it got them to really focus on themselves, regardless of the outside noise, regardless of whatever is going on around the area that we're doing a yoga session. They got to really hone into their own selves and it helped their body parts actually get better. Like a girl was saying, like her knee was hurting, but after the yoga session, her knee felt better. And I feel like that's what we need more. I feel like we need more healers and we need more creators and people that's going to sit there to give more empathy. Really learn how to design whatever type of creation that they want to create and also play. When we have that playful atmosphere, we become our most joyous. So like these things I got from a book, especially this book called The Whole New Mind. They said there's six senses that we should adapt to through this 21st century that is approaching us, and that's design, play, meaning, sympathy, empathy, and story. So all those six words, they come into a powerful.
That really helps to raise your vibration and really reconnect to your inner child. Because I mean, if you think about it, I mean, for my awareness, I guess you could say, is our subconscious minds, our paradigms is the technical term or the correct term. I like to use our algorithms of our subconscious mind. They're really all created, these beliefs and these ideas, everything we do, how we work, how we kiss, everything, is all put into the subconscious mind of a child. And it's truly, just that, like you said earlier, the curiosity and that creative imagination and just that freedom and that playfulness, it all just originates back to childhood when children didn't care what strangers thought. They didn't care about if you're black or white. It's just our originality, and I really feel that's where a lot of real self-help, where I'm really trying to push people, is just back to that starting point or the reset button, and just really building off of themselves and not letting go of that creativity, not letting go of that imagination. And I think it's why, the prophet, even Jesus, was so passionate about children. And I don't know if it's historically translated right, but I believe the verse was saying something about, the children are going to have, the righteousness and the mind of a child is going to have, and the soul of a child is going to have the highest place, after death. And I think that's so true, and I think every religion supports that. And I think that's amazing how what you're doing now, and so many people are doing now with children is just amazing. Instead of them having to go through, the whole corporate education and the whole corporate suffering, corporate music, all of that brainwashing, that we mentioned a few families are doing right now. I feel like it's amazing that children are right now have so many amazing leaders. Because like you said earlier, me growing up, I never had any real leaders, male or females. It was always me searching for someone. And the 4 self-help mentors or gurus that I had when I started, they failed. And I look back, and there's a reason I don't like to say their names now, really, because they're not any better. But I think it's amazing that what you're doing, and I think it's amazing what people are doing with children. Because they really are the future. And not only are they the future, but I think it's amazing that I honestly believe, like you said, this next decade or next 20 years, children are going to already be awakened. They're already going to know who they really are on the inside before they even become an adult. It's going to be 12. I have 13-year-olds and 14-year-olds that are listening to my subliminal affirmations already freely programming with subliminal affirmations, or changing their subconscious minds to what's aligned with their true self. And I think that's just, I mean, when I was 13 or 14, I was playing video games.
Telling, bro.
Yeah.
being around them is just so amazing. Like just like it's one thing coaching them, but it's another thing just being around them. Like, I find a lot of joy in being around them, just not because of the sport, just because of the characters. Like, they just hilarious. Like, I deal with kids from all ages. Like, I have 4 basketball teams that I coach currently at the moment, and their current ages are 9, 10, 11, and 13, 14. So I get to literally assess each age and see how you just got that freedom, it's going crazy, and just enjoying the life that you live in. You're not even just, you don't know what's going on in the world. You just enjoying it, and that brings me a sense of bring me a lot of joy and happiness to see that, because imagine all of us as adults, or I'm not even going to say adults at the age, matter of fact, because our age don't really necessarily tell us our energy, the energies that we are. If we go back to that energy of just not really judging and just looking at everybody as the same, things would be so much more different. And as I said, we'll just have more of a playful environment. So I always want to do the best that I can, no matter what type of age I'm at, as just bringing a lot more childish energy, or children playfully, to the environments that are around me. And that's one thing I started doing. I started watching. I always watch cartoons. Like, people ask me, why do you still watch cartoons? One, because that keeps young. Well, not young, but it keeps my sense of imagination to continue to grow, and it keeps me in that playful environment. And what I started doing is I've been making cartoon skits, and I've been posting them on Instagram. So I'm learning how to do that as well too, because if I can get people to understand the messages within cartoons, I feel like they'll really hone the sense of creativity and really want to bring that childlike atmosphere out.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just connected to the Facebook live stream. I wasn't sure if anyone had commented or not. I don't believe so. I think there's been a handful of people watching it, but that's the problem when you start an international. 80% of our followers are asleep, but yeah, no, I agree with you completely, man. And one of the most recent things I've really been pushing people, is to actually sit down and meditate and really question, a lot of those beliefs that other adults, placed in our subconscious minds as children. I had a teacher, in elementary school, that told that boy at the time that he couldn't. He read so much that he should have been able to spell.
Wow.
And that stuck with me for so long. And guess what? I went through high school, junior high, and I sucked at spelling. I'll be honest, or that boy sucked at spelling. And it was not until now, with how far I've gotten with the subconscious mind and the mind, that I finally, without even having to meditate really, just the memory and that belief came to my conscious mind, or it just connected with me, and I was like, wow, now I know why my entire life I was not good at spelling. It was just because of that one teacher. That's all it took. Just one teacher to tell that little, I think, 10, 11-year-old boy that he read so much he should be able to spell better. And it just hit him so hard that belief sunk in. And I think it's really important, as adults, that we go back to childhood and we really meditate and, question a lot of these beliefs that people tell us. Because, you got children, on the internet nowadays, that haven't even discovered themselves, and you got some other insecure person telling them that they're ugly or you're not, just for they can feel better. But yeah, they can feel better about themselves. They've never even actually met the other person or anything. And it's really important, like I said, I think as adults. And I think that's why we have so many 60, 50-year-old, insecure souls, or men especially, or women too, that are at the point in their life where they're 40, 50, 60, and they still are insecure, and I think it's because they haven't been able to sit down and really go back to that childhood, and question, where did these beliefs come from? And I think I don't want to get too far off from science and fiction, but I think it was Star Wars, where one of the best lines I heard from a Hollywood movie was one of the Jedi Masters or whatever was telling Anakin or Darth Vader, be mindful of your thoughts. And I think people don't realize how important self-awareness is. And like you were saying earlier, the more we meditate, the more it really connects us to our subconscious mind and just our inner being. And there was even a scientific study, I think recently, that said people that meditate for at least tens of thousands of hours, a long time, their brain is always 100% active, or they've activated 100% of their brain through meditation, which is just amazing. It just shows the power of meditation. So I mean, are children? You said children are meditating now with teaching, or what were you saying earlier?
Well, they're not. I would say that they're not meditating, but when we do yoga sessions,
Yoga, okay.
like really hold their mindfulness and of the meditation part of of the yoga session that is provided by Chanel, because she does a phenomenal job, as I said, just stretching the body, but also guiding them through her voice and with the music that she also plays to get kids to like I said, really hone into their own self. Like one of the girls, I asked her yesterday when I trained her, how did she like the session? She said she really loved it because even though there was outside noise going on throughout her session of the yoga class, she really just went back to focus on herself. And that's like one of the greatest things because, we can get easily distracted by our environment and surroundings to where we just lose focus. But for her to say, I started canceling out the noise and just focusing on myself and just listening to my inner thoughts. I was like, man, you're only 13 and you presenting this idea to me. I'm like, geez.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like I've been yoga for years, and I did yoga, but I never really learned about the real full meanings of doing it. I learned it in high school because I wanted to be a better athlete and a better basketball player. So I was like focused in more about the stretching part.
Yeah.
And like me and my boy Nakami Morrison, we played for Newtown together, which is the varsity of the high school that we went to. Me and him was used to go to yoga sessions together, and like it was so great that most of the time when we will finish and go into our finishing pose, which is like we call it the dead pose, but it's when you're like laying on your back, your eyes is closed, you just got finished going through the stretches, and you just like into all the music and the environment around you. We end up falling asleep like multiple times during the session. So like from there, even sessions with Chanel, I end up falling because I also joined the girls too to give them confidence to let them know that listen, you're not going to just go through this alone. I'm going to also not only just present the idea to you, I'm going to tell you that this is something that I love to do as well too, and I enjoy doing it. And from there, like also knocked out, so I love the practice of yoga. I understand the teachings of it and how it brings a lot of more mindfulness and meditation into oneself. And, I just want to continue to teach a lot of children this because, as I said, I feel like the mindset is one of the biggest things that is going to be affected within this new upcoming generation moving forward.
What are the three biggest things or, habits that you like to teach children? I mean, what are the
three biggest habits I like to teach children is definitely reading, because I saw how reading created a huge impact on my life, and not just reading school material, reading own education material. So I'm reading a book right now called Limitless by Jim Quick, which is a phenomenal book and a very touching book to me because he wants to untap the potentials of you being your own superhero. And I'm like, yo, who don't want to be a superhero? We all imagined ourselves when we was kids to be that amazing superhero, maybe to fly, maybe to run fast, whatever superpower that you ever wanted. And from there, like, he says, don't let education stop you from learning, or don't let education. I believe that was a phrase or the quotation that he put in there, and I was like, oof, because when you go to school, you think you're learning, or you think you're getting a formal level of education, but then you don't try to listen to anything else that's out there. So I always encourage reading. I also encourage eating habits. Nowadays I started to learn about the effects of eating properly and how it can not only just help your brain but also help your second brain, which is your stomach. We tend to forget that the food that we intake in ourselves also leads to a more healthier and better life as well too. So when I changed my diet, I got to feel the full effects of it, and it made me feel much more better, and it made me think mentally clearer, and it made me actually use parts of my brain that I never thought I could imagine to use. I became more creative. I became more insightful. I became more focused. So those are the main two things I definitely teach, and like mainly, I would say the power of like either meditation, or like doing some type of practice that's gonna get you to be harness. That's gonna harness within yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because working out is also an elusive thing for the body. It makes you become. It makes you feel more great. It gets you to become much more physically stronger to live out in any type of scenario through the world, whether whatever you go through. And within yoga, as I said, I love yoga because yoga brings, like I said, mindfulness, and it brings a lot of creativity and ideas that can spark. And the meditation part, meditation is definitely important when you just sit there and just take time to bring more peace to yourself. So I definitely like those are the three things I definitely do in my day. It's either I do it in the morning or I do it right before I go to bed. Like I do workouts before I go to bed and I meditate with frequencies being played, and with the health I make sure I eat as healthy and as clean as possible so I can keep my brain and my second gut, which is my stomach, functioning at all possible moments of
Yeah,
my life.
that's awesome, man. All right. Did you have any other questions, man? I think we're. I don't know how much time you have, but we're about to hit an hour. So.
Yeah. I think yeah, I mean, this is like a phenomenal history. I personally want to say you're a phenomenal guy, and you're a phenomenal person that I got to really connect with, and I thank you for the experiences that we get to share and the insightful information that we get to share to each other, and you know, to be able to be a part of things that can be life changing for other people that are going through. Hardy, thank you for providing me a platform to be able to voice opinion and voice my thoughts because I want to be able to help as much people as possible and let them know that whatever dream that you have, you can make, of it, and you can be the change that the world wants to see or that you personally want to see. And I definitely got to give a lot of big thanks to like my mentor and a big
Yeah.
guru of mine. His name
Well,
is Ed,
yeah.
who like literally like inspires me each and every day to go out there to create that change because he's a very who is much more older that really pushes me and a group of my guys to go out there to make these changes. So, I'm just happy for the people that I'm around, and it's like I said, for you giving me this platform to be able to speak, man. Like I'm just totally grateful, and
Yeah.
I thank you a lot, man.
No, I appreciate you, man. Just one more final question, or just going off of that real quick, which was one thing I wanted to talk about. What would you say? I mean, now that you're stepping into more of a leadership role, what would you say? I mean, what would you say, what do you think is the most important piece of advice you could give, or how do you build more leaders? Within the children. I mean, how important is leadership? And the reason I want to talk about this real quick um, is we have more of a shift right now. I would feel like, but I feel like for a while, just this alpha male or macho man was so heavily, propagated or distributed. Yeah, and now we have more of the alpha leader, that's starting to come out. And I used the analogy of the whole 300 movie. You have the guy with the gold chains, and all of the prostitutes and all of that, and he's invading, I think it was Greece or somewhere, and you have
Yeah,
you
yeah,
have the
I
other
remember that. Okay,
guy Leonidas, who's
that was a great movie.
yeah, he's all about family, he's all about community, he's all about all that good stuff. So I mean, what would you say? I mean, how do you help build more leaders? Especially within the guys too, and even some of the females.
You know, uh, this guy is about really getting them to understand their dream and their passions. I could definitely say that because we're all leaders, no matter what demographic you come from, no matter what skin color you may be, how you look, how you dress. Like we're all leaders in disguise. We just have to understand and that we're no different from anybody else. That's why I look at it like we're all human beings, at the end of the day. So whoever person that you envy or you have admirations for, you can be that same person, but even much more better. You know, because we all have talents and gifts that we can share, that we must share across the world to inspire other people to go out there and live to their fullest potential. And you know, that's how I feel like, you know, I do my best to lead the youth and create them to be more better and bigger leaders as well too around their own environment and space.
That's awesome. That's really awesome.
What about you? You know, what do you think that we must do as mentors and as leaders and as guidance to give more people the power to go out there and lead in their, you know, perspectives?
Yeah. I would say, I mean, me personally, I would say the two biggest, I guess you could say, values would be responsibility and accountability. And like you said, I mean, I believe we all have we all have a leader inside of us. I believe you're right. I mean, I've heard the other argument that, you know, it's not so, but and I think that's what real leadership is, you know, is making more leaders. I think that's what a real leader is. But yeah, I would say responsibility and accountability, and especially amongst, you know, young people, especially with the internet. You know, it's so easy just to hop on the internet and troll. You know, I mean, we all probably did it at one point when we were younger. You know, I did it too when I was a teenager. Yeah, but yeah, right. But and especially just because it's so easy just to hide, you know, on the internet nowadays in this digital age. I think one thing that young entrepreneurs and even young business owners, and no matter where you live in the world, is responsibility and accountability. I think it's just something that's been lost, and I think a lot of even our modern leaders too could even be more responsible, could be even more accountable. And I think Paul, our camera guy that we work with, I was like, you know, I have almost an insane, you know, insane level of just responsibility and perspective. But I think, and I think that holding myself to that same standard, you know, it's not a double standard. Holding myself to that same standard is really important. And I would say that's the biggest thing to me. I mean, and I think a leader too, you know, like you were saying, is someone that really really has a vision for life, you know. And I think we all have a vision to offer life, which is why it's so important that, you know, we help children especially, you know, build that vision like you were saying earlier. Help them discover their own vision, because I think that's really what a leader is. And I think, like you were saying, where we're heading right now, I think we're going to have more leaders and more creators with especially children, and the awareness that they have right now, and just drawing out their own uniqueness. Because I truly believe, just real quick, building off of what you were saying, you know, and I preach it in all of my videos, and you know, when people come back through and get to the end of this video, I just one of my closing statements is that, you know, we all, one statistic I saw was that every single person that's born is a 400 trillion to 1 miracle, or those are the odds of you being born. And when I saw that every single one of us is a 400 trillion to 1 miracle, and we all have a unique thumbprint, we all have a unique, you know, completely different inner self than the next person. That really blew my mind, and that really pushed me towards, you know, truly awakening all the way. Because all of life, like I said earlier, you know, vibrates on the miracle frequency or the love frequency. All of life, and we're born as a 400 trillion to 1 miracle. We're born vibrating on the miracle frequency. We're born perfect. I mean, we're born able to do absolutely anything, or we're absolutely limitless. Just the vibration that we're born on and the chances of us coming here. Which, like you said earlier, I truly believe every single one of us has, I mean, something completely different than the next person. We're all Kobe Bryants. We're all J.K. Rowlings. You know, we're all Martin Luther Kings. And I think the further we go right now as a collective, you know, as humanity continues to evolve towards perfection, I really think, like you were saying, that there's gonna be a huge quantum leap, you know, that's going to be happening here soon, and it's already happening right now. So I think it's really exciting to have, you know, conversations like this with, like you said, people like you, and like-minded individuals that are awakened. They know who they are, and they understand how the mind works, and they're just growing. I think it's amazing, and I think it's amazing that
Absolutely.
yeah, that I think it's amazing with the internet. That thousands of people are going to watch this video, and a year or two, it's going to be even more. So.
And I just hope, and I wish that they continue to stay inspired. Go out there and continue to make their environment on them, because this is what I believe life is about, people and pushing people as well as pushing yourself to your greatest potential and living out to your dreams, not anybody else's dreams that they have for you.
Yeah.
And that's the best thing that we can do for ourselves, and ultimately free. Like one last thing that I got from the Limitless book, Jim Carrey. Everybody knows Jim Carrey as one of the greatest actors out there. Jim quick asked, why do you act such a goofy, way when it comes to your, movie screening? And the message that he said that was like that really resonated to me a lot is he acts this way because he wants people to go out there and be totally comfortable with themselves and not be afraid to be somebody else or do something else. And like right there, that was just like the most powerful message that I could get from that book. And I'm still not done with it, but from there I got to understand Jim Carrey totally, because if you are putting on a different persona, then you're just being fake to the person that you are. But if you're going out there and acting like, this is just automatically you have no type of change, and you're not different from the movie screenings to the person that you are after the movie screenings, that is like, that's a game changer right there. Yeah. So I thank Jim Carrey for that message, and Jim Quick for exploiting the message from Jim Carrey.
Yeah, and just to build off of that, man, real quick, since like I said, a lot of people are going to watch this, and just building off of that idea, one thing I really preach that I discovered, after having deep conversations, because I'd say it in my videos, I've met over 1 million people around the world, and I'm not saying that to brag, just to give an idea. And some of the people I've talked to, from African countries, they're not, with no disrespect, or it's not important, but immigrants from other countries I speak to. That's the way those are the words I'm looking for. None of them really had an ego. And as I studied the ego, like kind of what you're referring to as, it's, to me, Quincy Adam Jones said it perfectly, an ego is really just it's overinflated insecurity. And as I meditated, I was meditating on that while I was, truly awakening and truly discovering myself, or that boy was. And I invite people to be able to laugh at themselves, and I think one of the hardest things, like you're saying, is especially in first world countries, is that so many people have bought into these labels or dogma masks. And when you really meditate on what he's saying, is that's exactly what an ego is. It's a label, or it's a dogma mask, to where if you're wearing the label or the mask that you're a Christian, well, you go around saying, I can't laugh at that, I can't laugh at this, I have to do this, or I don't want to attack religion, so I'll do something else, or maybe I'm a gamer, that's the label that I am. It's like, well, I gotta act this way, I gotta do this because that's what the gamers do. And you're never able to really embrace your authentic self from within. You're never really able to laugh at yourself. And when you truly discover yourself on the inside, and you truly embrace who you are on the inside, it's so easy to then laugh at yourself, because you're, like you were saying, you're not trying to pretend to be anybody. You're not trying to be somebody you're not. So I just wanted to add that in real quick, because what you said was so powerful, about what Jim Carrey was saying. And that's why, once again, before we end this, I just want to invite people, like I said, every single one of us is a 400 trillion and one miracle, and every single one of us, has the ability to discover that inner voice And that's when you have free will, is when you actually truly discover yourself on the inside. So
Yeah, man. It's not to search for success. Because success is a sickness. It's to really to search for joyfulness, man. Joyfulness is like everything. To be happy and everything that you got going on. And I've just learned that, and I'm gonna continue to harness and hone that speed that as well too. Not to search for success, but search for joyfulness.
exactly, yeah. All right, Brandon. I know I forgot you're 2 hours ahead, man. So, what time is it there?
It is 10:30 right now.
Oh, okay, that's not too bad. All right, man. So yeah, everyone, like I said, this is Brandon. Brandon, where can people find you on Facebook and Instagram?
If they want to look for me on Facebook, they can go to Brandon M Polite. My name is spelled Brandan Polite, as in the word polite, like be polite. And if they want to search me up on Instagram, it's I'ma be polite. IMMAB. And if they want to also follow my lifestyle brand, it's Rise Above Academy, which is what you see on the shirt right here. And I encourage each and one of you guys and viewers and listeners to rise above and really become that beautiful flower that you truly see yourself to become, and make that impact by spreading your seeds all over this world and society that's around you.
Oh,
And
that's
thank you,
awesome.
Luke, so much for having me on this and being able to present myself. I thank you so much, man. I'm honestly grateful. Excuse me. Well, that I got to meet you and talk with you as well too.
All right, awesome, man. Yeah, no, I look forward to, like I said, going to the next Bridging Cultures documentary next year. And for anyone that hasn't, make sure you check out the Bridging Cultures documentary, which is what Brandon's in, and where you'll see him and I together in the Bridging Cultures documentary. That's on our Facebook page. It's also on our YouTube page.
Whoa. Excuse me. We got a big boy over here.
All right, guys. Yep, like I said, next year Brandon will be going with us to the Middle East, India, when we do our Bridging Cultures documentary. So, and check him out on social media.
Yes, sir.
All right, brother. I'll let you get some sleep, man, or let you take care of it.
Absolutely. Yes. Say bye to the chaos.
All right, brother. I love you, man, and I'll see you soon.
Love you too, bro. Have a great one, Luke. It's great talking to you. See
All
you
right,
soon.
good night.